BMW Postgame Show.
You're telling me that Syracuse men's basketball doesn't make a three. They lose to Notre Dame by 5. And this is the first time I get to host a postgame show? Oh, you better call in and help me out. 315-437-7644. Jordan Capozzi here with you on ESPN Radio Syracuse. Syracuse men's basketball falls to Notre Dame 69-64 in a battle between two teams missing their star players. And we certainly saw what that game looks like in the ACC opener, two teams without their star players. Because Adrian Autry went into this game with a little bit of a different style than we've seen throughout the season. Now, it's a style that he said that he's wanted to play multiple times, with the Orange struggling to shoot the long ball. However, we really saw what it looked like today. Syracuse men's basketball, if you didn't see the whole game, if you don't have the box score up, no, I am not exaggerating. 0 for from three-point range. Elijah Moore made a shot near the end of the game. Syracuse's last made basket, by the way, that looked like it was going to be a three-pointer. It was ruled a 2, and that was all she wrote there. Syracuse falls to Notre Dame 69-64. Immediate takeaways from that game. You don't want to have to play a basketball game like that against a team as down bad as Notre Dame. Losers of 5 straight coming into this one, yet favored by 4.5 up to 5.5. But that's the type of game Syracuse played. Get the ball inside. Rely on your post game. Donnie Freeman, Jair Davis combining for about 2/3 of the Orange's points today. A little bit over, if I'm not mistaken. Excuse me, didn't take a math class in college. Slow it down, right? Make your possessions take time, and don't let your defense get hung out to dry like we've seen so many times this season. By the way, they tried their best. Between Notre Dame players just fumbling the ball around, stepping out of bounds, kicking it out of bounds, between guys missing open threes, Notre Dame very easily could have been closer to 80 points than just below 70 tonight. But Syracuse hung in there. Credit to them. Credit to Coach Autry for getting his guys to believe in that game plan that kept them in this game despite failing to make a three. You have a tight game and anything can happen. However, at the end of the game, 2 things made the difference. 1, threes are worth more than 2s. It's as simple as that. Braden Shrewsbury was getting it done from behind the line. He was getting it done just in general. Although, on the CW, I'm not sure they knew that. On the CW, they thought his name was Jaden, then they thought his name was Micah. I digress. The other thing, Notre Dame shot poorly from the free throw line. However, Syracuse did as well. And again, free throws could have been the difference in this game. Another thing we'll mention as a key storyline in this game. I know nobody likes Jaquan Carlos. I know people haven't wanted him in the starting lineup. However, he was the team's distributor. He was their 3rd leading scorer. 6 assists on the game. There were multiple chances that he created completely by taking the ball on the fast break, getting out ahead, and finding a guy open. On some of those chances, they didn't capitalize. Chris Bell had one that stuck out in the second half. But he also, at the end of the game, really made it work. It's Jaquan Carlos, it's Eddie Lampkin. Those two are the distributors, and this was Jaquan Carlos' best regular season game with Syracuse. However, when you've got 2 guys in double figures and neither of them are hitting threes, it shows your offense. It's very limited, and there were points where it was obvious that Notre Dame knew what was coming. Jair Davis had a little stretch where kept getting the ball poked away from him. He did come up clutch when needed, except at the end with that final 3 he took that just didn't fall, but nobody's did. So you can't really blame him for that. Chris Bell, pretty much absent today. He did come out strong. He gave me faith in the second half when he came out and on the Orange's first defensive possession, he blocked a 3 on the run. And I was sitting there thinking, okay, that's what Chris Bell needs to get back into this game and maybe start hitting some of his shots. Because when he went 0 for 2 from the foul line to start the game, you had to have that feeling of, oh no, is this going to be a bad game for Chris Bell? He finishes 2 for 5 from the foul line, just 4 points. And again, only 2 Syracuse scores in double figures. That was Donnie Freeman, and that was Jair Davis. We'll be looking to get you Red Autry's post-game press conference. If not, we'll get you some sounds from him while we're here on the Burdick post-game show on ESPN Radio Syracuse and CuseSportsTalk.com. I'd like to know what your thoughts were on this game. Were you in any way encouraged by the game being close despite the Orange failing to hit a 3? Are you just over it? I can understand if you're over it. That's when you kind of got to win. But at the same time, I don't know what you were expecting from this one. This was exactly what Vegas was expecting. Spread opened at 4.5, went to 5.5, and that's what it was, 5-point differential. But this is also a game that you really, really have to win if you want to have any hope moving forward, because you are missing J.J. Starling. Notre Dame, of course, missing Marcus Burton. Notre Dame losers of 5 straight. So this was one you really had to have, your little ACC teaser before you head into Georgetown. You obviously got Albany in the middle. You got Bucknell. You got some games in there that are winnable. But this is one that you really wanted to see the Orange grab against one of the lower teams, one of the teams at the bottom of the ACC. 315-437-7644. That is the number to call if you're interested. But what I'm going to do here, I'm going to see if anybody else wants to chat. I've got some more points to make getting into the game, some positives, some key moments, and some things that I'm going to be looking at. For example, we saw more Chance Westry. How much will we see moving forward? We saw a lot more Kyle Cuff, despite Jaquan Carlos playing well. We saw some really funky lineups. Some real weird lineups. And we didn't see as much of Chapo. Was that because the team wasn't making threes? Was that because of the focus on going inside? Or was it just because Carlos was playing well? I don't know. 315-437-7644. We're recapping Syracuse is lost to Notre Dame, 5-point loss in South Bend right here on ESPN Radio Syracuse. Join me on CuseSportsTalk.com. We'll have a quick little break. We'll come back, take your calls, talk a little bit more about this game. And until then, stick around. This is the Burdick BMW, Burdick Lexus, Burdick Ford post-game show on ESPN Radio Syracuse.
Water Sales and Service.
We like a lights on the late recap. I didn't really think any of you would be encouraged. You guys are so weird with your little negative rant. Like, I don't go into these shows like I don't want to get fired. In fact, if you listened yesterday, I said very clearly on the radio, I don't think anybody who has the power to fire me is going to listen. And I stand by that. So, you know, the little you're worried about getting fired stuff is kind of old. Do I think Red did a great job? I see a lot of those comments. No. Did he actually get his team to buy into this game plan of slow it down, play inside, keep it close? Yeah, so that's something. Credit where credit is due. They didn't win, though, so who really cares, right? Maybe hit 1 3-pointer. That would be nice. I don't know what you do, though, after this, because if you can't beat Notre Dame without Marcus Burton, and yes, you know, no JJ, but I don't care. If you can't beat Notre Dame without Marcus Burton, then what can you do? What can you do? I appreciate that, JG2000. What's going to be really lovely, right, is it doesn't seem anybody wants to call. How do I get my first post-game show and Pat's not going to call? So, but whatever. I'm retweeting some stuff, excuse me. This needs to be addressed. What needs to be addressed? Trying to see it. With portal and recruiting, yeah, I mean, you do need next man up, that's for sure. Oh, Kyle Cuff on Instagram 5 minutes ago. Oh, that's nothing. What'd you guys think about the Kyle Cuff minutes? I think this is a game where we really saw why Kyle Cuff hasn't been getting a lot of minutes. He was getting blown by. Yeah, no made threes. I mean, it was part of the game plan. It was part of, like, figure it out. Obviously, we're hoping to get Autry's presser. What does this say? I saw a comment up here. Hold on. Do. I'm trying to find the comment about how about you don't go to the post game. No, Minnesota Dan, RomanoCars.com wouldn't really like it if I didn't go to the post game with Red Autry. Oh, that's great. We love rants about the game. Honestly, Chief, if this were like a home game and we had Autry's presser off rip, that would be a lot easier, but we're going to try to get it for you. Hopefully it's available. We got a second call. Paul. Yeah, Cuff is the Kansas transfer. He was hurt a lot, so I don't know if that has anything to do. Yeah, I know, Mike. I'm really annoyed with that. I'm really annoyed with the stats transferring. Davis 22 though. Freeman 20. Syracuse didn't make a 3. I think they'd be 0 for 8. No, Minnesota Dan, I can't do that because the press conference is a video and other people would be interested in seeing it, I believe. Oh, that's a great point. Yep, Davis and then more. Great point, Mike. Oh, man, if they made 1-3. Yeah, that's another thing. I'm sure he won't have a lot to say. This feels like it'll be a 6-minute Red Autry press conference.
If you like ESPN Syracuse in your ears,
don't believe that shot got reviewed, B-Man.
sportstalk.com, ESPN 97.7 and 100.1. This is the Burdick Lexus and Burdick BMW postgame show.
We are back. Burdick Lexus, Burdick BMW, Burdick Ford, Burdick, man. Burdick postgame show. Syracuse men's basketball falls to Notre Dame in a tight one, 69-64. Jordan Capozzi here with you, talking a lot about Cuse, a Cuse team that failed to hit a 3. Somebody get the Elias Sports Bureau on the line. When's the last time that happened, man? Jair Davis, Donnie Freeman combined for 42 of the Orange's 64 points. Jaquan Carlos, their third leading scorer. I said I really wanted to take your calls and hear from you. We're going to do that right now, starting with Matt. Matt in the Cuse, talking Syracuse Notre Dame. Matt, thanks for calling. How you doing?
What's up, buddy?
Is this Gavendo?
It is.
What's happening? I appreciate you calling. What's on your mind?
I just wanted to be your first caller. That's all.
Oh, thank you. There you go.
We're in a world of trouble. If we haven't noticed yet, we're just in a world of trouble. The whole bench, the coaches, the players, they just look disinterested for some reason. Can't really tell why. And the other thing that blows my mind is, were we holding the ball at the end of the game for 40 seconds for some reason, or did you catch that, or am I crazy?
I don't know what we were doing, but I did notice that possession with the Jair Davis 3 that didn't go in felt unusually long for the situation.
I mean, you got one shooter on the floor, you got Chopper on the floor, you didn't even pass him the ball. Like, what are we doing?
I mean, another thing at the end of the game, too, is key shot. I don't know if I want a Lucas Taylor floater with a chance to get closer to get in the lead, chance at tying the game. That was just a result of not much of a plan on offense, in my opinion, if you have Lucas Taylor driving to the lane and taking a push shot with a chance to, tighten this game up late.
Yeah, I'm not impressed. I'm not really looking forward to future games, but It is what it is, I guess. I don't know what your thoughts are on the. We're just in a world of hurt, as I said. Just disgusted. Disgusted.
Hey, well, I appreciate you calling, Matt. I mean, there's not much positive to, say after that loss. JJ will be back, We didn't even see Choppa Moore continue the excellent play that we've been seeing from him in the last few games, and that's what's really discouraging. He did hit that one shot near the end, but Choppa Moore, he was getting better, dropped 2 straight season highs, came into this Notre Dame game where the team fails to make a 3, and just he didn't really show up. He didn't get as many minutes either. That was a part of the game plan. We got another caller calling in, so stay on the line. It looks like we've got a pair of Chris's in the Cuse looking to chime in. 315-437-7644 is the number. First, Chris in the Cuse. What's going on, Chris?
Hey there. I just wanted to call in and give a short, brief recap of Lights on the Lake from last night.
No.
Very quickly, I thought it was awesome. It's got a lot of cool features to it. I was a little confused about the lineup. I thought it was weird how they threw in Enchantment of the Sea there and, Glenda, the Good Witch, and the Wicked Witch of the West and stuff, the Land of Oz. I thought that was weird.
I can only let this go on because it's a free promo. I hope you know that, right?
But it was great, and that leads me to my point about Syracuse basketball. I thought a lot of the lineups that Red had were a bit funky. Didn't understand a few of them. I know Taylor plays great on defense, but having a 0-0-0 stat line for, 22 minutes in the game, just tough to watch. Not much to be grateful for, but I'm grateful that I was able to wrap gifts while watching this game and not paying too much attention. So I'll hang up and listen. Thanks, Jordan.
I appreciate it, Chris. There were some weird... quick tone. There were some weird lineups out there. I agree. Shout out Lights on the Lake. Go check out Wegmans Lights on the Lake, by the way. Thank you for the free promo. Now I don't have to do it. We saw... I have them written down. There were some real funky lineups. I tweeted out one of them. No, I'm not finding it. My writing's not great, but there was a lineup out there. You had Cuff playing with Choppa and Carlos at the same time. I think you had a Westry and Cuff lineup at the same time. It was real funky. Lucas Taylor did some good things, but again, that floater at the end, I just, wasn't really feeling that for a shot when you're in desperation. Whatever. We got a lot more calls on the line. You can call 231-543-7644. I believe we have another Chris on the line here. Is this Chris? I affectionately call you Walk-On Chris. Is this you, Chris?
Yeah, this is Chris.
What's going on, Chris? Good, man. How you doing?
Actually, I have all the money in the world. They can go after NIL. They can get any good players, especially the coaching, because Autry doesn't know what he's doing. Too many different lineups. He's not experienced enough. If it wasn't for, like I said 1,000 times, if it wasn't for Andy coming next year to Big White, he'd be fired this season. And in the season, if I was a athletic director, I would tell the recruits, I'm getting a better coach. Don't switch schools. That's the only reason why they might win 10 games this season. And it comes down, they haven't made a three-pointer since 2014, and they can't make free throws. It's like simple. If he can figure in 10 games, Autry, he's definitely never going to figure it out in 20 games. This is pretty sad, pathetic. Playing out, this is a business. He'd be collecting some money from somewhere else or some different university if he's assistant coach or something, but coaching is not obviously his forte.
Chris, certainly things aren't going well, but may I say, and I know it's a different situation, so don't try to think I'm like comparing Fran Brown to Adrian Autry in terms of these seasons, because I'm not, but Fran Brown was hired basically purely off of his recruiting, right? Autry, he's going to get another year simply because of this recruiting. Like, you have to let him go no matter how it goes with this class next season now.
Well, this is the business. It doesn't matter. It's not how nice of a go or who you recruit. It doesn't matter. If you can't get the players to win games, it's a business. He's not going to last. That's all I say.
I feel you, Chris. I feel you. And, I'm not just throwing you out there, because pretty much everybody in our chat, a lot of people are feeling the same way. I am in the boat that, we can talk about it all season, but it's not something that's going to change. Like, I think Coach Autry's got a hold on this until 2025, and he can get better, but it has been rough. And I'm not saying it has not been rough. He's admitted he's still trying to figure it out with the lineups. Now he's got another challenge with J.J. Starling out. What is this guy going to do? We've seen issues with the team's buy-in throughout the season. Some guys aren't getting on the ground for loose balls. Guys aren't getting back in transition. Guys have bad body language, and that is all coaching. And I'm not denying that. So I'll say I hope to see some things change, some improvement, and just, Red kind of get back to what last season was, which was him doing better, I think, or about what was expected with 20 wins in his first season. Obviously, it wasn't the season we all wanted, but 20 wins in your first season, not bad. And it doesn't look like that's going to be the case this year. So it's not going to be an improvement on year one. But year 3, in my mind, unless something crazy happens, is going to happen. So let's all just hope for improvement, growth, and some positivity to end the season. We'll take one more call before we go to break. It is Steve in North Syracuse joining us on the Burdick postgame show. Steve, what are your thoughts on the game, my man? Thank you for calling.
Well, the line I came up with is that this game was low-hanging fruit, and both teams were in I've fallen and I can't get up mode. It's a good thing they were playing each other because they were making so many mistakes.
Yeah.
I do think that we ran our offensive sets better than we have been, and I do think we played a little better defense than we have, although a lot of it was Notre Dame creating their own problems, but neither team could do well at the foul line. I think Syracuse really has a number of really talented players. We've seen Freeman now have several double-doubles and 20-point games, and he is so raw to imagine that he can put up these numbers at this point in his career is really amazing, and it shows how great he could someday be. And we've seen what Moore can do. He came up with nothing in this game after 2 straight excellent games. We finally saw the DeQuan Carlos that Red Autry sees. And I thought that he had a good game. And, of course, Jair Davis really came forward and had a strong game for us. If we can ever get all these guys on the same page and playing well at the same time, then our fortunes could dramatically improve, especially once JJ comes back to join him. But it's just so frustrating to have a couple guys a game have good games, but other guys wind up with zeros in the box score. And then the next game, it's a couple more guys, but it's different guys, and it seems it's almost like whack-a-mole, only we're the mole, and we get 2 moles poking their heads out each game, but that's not enough. You need 3 or 4 guys playing well to win games at this level, and it's just very tough to see guys come up empty in key games.
No, I agree with you, Steven. That's a great point, and I appreciate you calling. We saw Jair Davis play really well early in the season, and then as of late, he's been a little quieter, right? And he steps up and has a great game. And Chris Bell doesn't get anything going, and neither does Choppa Moore, who's had 2 straight great games. Finally, we see Jaquan Carlos doing what Coach Autry brought him in to do. He didn't reach double digits in scoring. That's not what Red wants him to do. 6 assists, could have had more if some guys made shots. And I haven't really bought into that whole thing throughout the season when coaches said it. I've seen I've seen Carlos make a lot of mistakes and not do a lot of positive things, in my opinion. Today, I think he played a good game. And it could have been better had guys made some open shots. We saw him have a good game, though, and just other guys couldn't do much. Eddie Lampkin, off rip, it looked like he was about to have a phenomenal game, but there was a point where there was a rebound that he got tackled on, basically, and you could tell he had trouble getting up. He's been he's been hurt, man. And, he wasn't the most nimble guy in terms of, moving quickly and athletic ability in terms of leaping coming in, but you can tell he's in pain. And the second half, he really slowed down. And, he had some good moments, but also you watch on D, he has to play back so far because he can't run with a guy. That leaves the defense really, really vulnerable. Guys, in the chat, people are wondering, has Pat called? Pat is on the line, but I'm going to have to take my second break here. We're looking to try to get you some Coach Autry sound, press conference, audio, whatever, before we end today's show. But until then, stick around. We got a couple of callers. That could be you, 315-437-7644. We'll get to your calls. We'll get to a little more talking about this Syracuse game. If you're just getting in the car and you somehow missed it, Syracuse falls to Notre Dame 69-64, and the Orange failed to make a single three-point shot. In 2024, the Orange competed in a game and only lost by 5, failing to make one three-point shot. Unfathomable. We'll talk about it more after the break. You're listening to the Burdick Syracuse men's basketball postgame show on ESPN Radio Syracuse. Watch on CuseSportsTalk.com and YouTube. Guys, I'm really sorry. I wasn't able to see your comments for minutes because the internet just closed out somehow. I'm not particularly sure what happened, but my internet just closed out. So I'm trying to get your comments. I'm sure people loved me mentioning that I think 20 wins for Autry in his first season was good. I mean, you might as well, but the goal is obviously to have they uploaded the post-game highlights? They've uploaded nothing. Okay, well, I guess I'll take Autry TK, and we'll see what happens with it. Oh, give us a post-game press conference. Come on. I think there was more defensive intensity, Sport Boy. I also think Notre Dame was abysmal offensively without Burton, and the fact that we still allowed 3 guys to basically score all of their points is really upsetting. Davo. Minnesota Dan, if I'm not mistaken, don't you not sign anything official until you're basically about to start? That would be a Mike McAllister question, but Chief, my relatives wouldn't watch this even if I asked them to. A lot of them don't like sports. No, Coach D, it's not the recap because at the end of the day, who is red, Jordan? Oh, I get you, Mike. No, because one, I'm not gonna go out there and say something that's not gonna happen. I'll tell you that right now, it's not gonna happen. Also, you're mid-season. I've heard a lot of people don't like Engelstad, how he's doing. I've heard a lot of people wonder what Griff's role would be. So what do you want to do? Just not have a coach? Is that the plan? I mean, we have to, it's sponsored, so I'll just, okay, yeah, just where'd you save it? Okay. But also, I'm not sitting here BSing and saying, oh, things are great. Oh, Red's doing a phenomenal job. This is bad. This is bad. Losing this game to Notre Dame is borderline pathetic. Not even borderline. It's pathetic. Because now, how is anybody supposed to look at this team and be like, oh, they can win a game in the ACC? Also, did anybody think Syracuse was beating North Carolina last year? No. But, that was just bad. Bad. No shame in admitting it. Coach D. Oh, Mike, it was, what's good, Mike? Coach D, they were talking about the 2025 class. Can they leave? And Minnesota Dan said they've signed NLIs. Don't they not sign them until basically the semester? Hold on. I've got to get to, I'm sorry, YouTube. I'm sitting here desperately trying to get all the comments up. Trying to get a little smidge of red. We're going to get some stuff. Okay. There's a post-game soundbite. Can we get Boeheim back? Okay, so this isn't me coming at you, but this is me thinking it's really funny. In the past few days, I have seen some people really hate Judah last year. Some people hated Joe Girard, and some people hated Boeheim. And in the last 4 days, I've seen Judah Mintz has saved red last year. I've seen I would kill for Joe Girard back, and I've seen can we have AI Boeheim coach the team? It's just funny how things change, man. And I also don't blame you for saying it right now if you are, but I want Scoop Jardine. That's so good.
This is the Burdick Lexus and Burdick BMW postgame show.
This is the Burdick Lexus, Burdick BMW, Burdick Ford. This is the postgame show, man. This is the postgame show. But it's not a pleasant one. Jordan Capozzi here with you as Syracuse falls to Notre Dame. 69-64. The Orange fail to make a three. The Orange now 4-4. And they have lost to three teams who you can easily be like, okay, Texas, solid. Texas Tech, solid. Tennessee, really good. This is the game where you can be like, not only did they not keep it close against a terrible team and pull it out, they lost to a team that they just can't lose to. And yes, J.J. Starling was out. He's going to be out for over a month, so they're going to have to figure something out real quick. Pat, before we get to Pat and Syracuse, you're just going to hear a smidge of Coach Autry. Some people in our Cuse Sports Talk chat saying they don't want to hear from him. So here's what I'll do. I'll give you just a smidge of Coach Autry, brought to you by RomanoCars.com. This is what he had to say. It's very brief, but it'll give you the vibes that he had after the game. This aired on TK99 as Coach was leaving, got by Matt Park, of course. The vibes that
I just thought we self-inflicted ourselves. We get it. It's a tie game. We miss our assignments. We start doing things that we shouldn't do on defense, and I thought that was the game, man. Offensively, we drove the ball. We started settling a little bit at the end. We got to get the ball in there and drive, but it was on us. Free throws in the first half, and then late in the second half, we just didn't do the things that we needed to do to win.
Again, that's Coach Autry immediately after the game, brought to you by RomanoCars.com. I'll give it to you one more time because when you have two chats to monitor, YouTube and Cuse Sports Talk, sometimes the volume gets left on, and I failed you. It's only 26 seconds. One more time, these were Coach Adrian Autry's immediate thoughts after leaving the floor from Syracuse's 69-64 loss to Notre Dame to move to 500 and fall in their first ACC game of the season.
I just thought we self-inflicted ourselves. We get it to a tie game. We miss our assignments. We start doing things that we shouldn't do on defense, and I thought that was the game, man. Offensively, we drove the ball. We started settling a little bit at the end. We got to get the ball in there and drive, but it was on us. Free throws in the first half, and then late in the second half, we just didn't do the things that we needed to do to win.
Like make one three-pointer, eh? 2024. I'm glad I can say, I guess I'm not glad because I wanted them to win. But imagine if they won without hitting a three. Imagine if they won. So I guess I'm glad I can be like, you're not going to win a game in 2024 without hitting a three, and partially blame it on that. All right, Pat, you have been waiting long enough. I hope you're still on the line. Thank you for waiting. Thank you for calling. What's on your mind, buddy? How you hanging in there?
The best part of the day is YouTube TV. I had a prior engagement, so I was able to master the YouTube TV DVR, and so I didn't have to invest 2 hours, and I don't know how long the game was. It probably ended at a little after 2, I would think.
Yeah, a little bit after. Because CW does those stupid late broadcast starts. They've got to be getting bread every time to start the broadcast and then take an ad break. But I digress. Get in there, Pat.
Yeah, so, I'll be curious to hear, Autry's excuses for look, I think Steve had a couple really good points that I want to piggyback off of, but kind of expand on. The first one is we do have pieces, but obviously with Lampkin, first of all, he's slow anyways, and now he's hobbled, so that's a huge problem, and that's why I said last call you have to get Jair Davis on the floor with more regularity and Freeman, and obviously today, that lineup did work. But that was just because Bell was atrocious. He played 18 minutes. He was 1 of 5. And I think him and Lucas Taylor, who to me look like brothers, there was one time, I don't know if you saw it, but Autry meant to bring in, he was trying to bring in Taylor, and he looked at Bell, and he first told Bell to go in, and then he goes, oh, wait, not you. So at any rate, those two guys are the problem, because Carlos gave us a game that is a game management game. He still missed 3 jumpers that he either A, shouldn't be taking, or B, he's got to make one of those. He made his layups. I think he was 4 for 4 on layups. I think he was 0 for 4 on jumpers. I could be wrong, and it really doesn't matter. His late jumper that he took, as soon as that didn't go in, I knew we were going to lose. We kept it close with a lousy team. Notre Dame's terrible. And when you play Notre Dame, especially that Notre Dame team, and they can block more shots than you, your defense stinks. So I disagree with anybody's take that says that was a good defensive game. It was not. Notre Dame got a lot of shots that they are trying to get, and they were making threes. It was a slow-paced game. There was a ton of mistakes. I mean, how many times did Notre Dame step out of bounds? Like 6 times?
Yeah, that was comical.
I mean, I've never seen a game. I've never seen a game where, and they were unforced. I mean, it wasn't like we were giving them great ball pressure. It was just stupid, lazy. That Notre Dame team is bad, and if we played them tomorrow, we'd probably lose to them again. It's tough. I think Autry, look, you need JJ. You don't have him. I get that, and you have to bring Chance back in there, but this season is toast. I mean, with our net where it is, it's a brutal situation, and this town and this community, we need this program. I mean, it's great that football's doing great. Fran Brown is not just talking the talk; he's walking the walk, and it's super entertaining. But this has always been and always will be a basketball town, and that is because of 40 years of success. The football team hasn't had 40 years of success. And I've seen this town with a super good football team and the buzz around it. And I've seen this town with even a mediocre tournament team and the buzz in this town. And there's no comparison. So this is going to be the situation where it's just going to be a long winter. And there's going to be a lot of, next year is the biggest season for Syracuse basketball in a long, long time. Because this year's done. Next year, you have to get it done. And, I just caution people that think that because we have a good recruiting class come in, that's the answer. Because, Freeman's a good recruit and he's doing a good job. He still leaves a lot to be desired. I don't have his stats in front of me, but I can't remember making a three-pointer all year. I'm sure he has, but every time he shoots a 3, I already say that's not going in.
It hasn't been good. And there was a moment tonight, Pat, and we got 2 callers behind you, Pat, so I'm going to let you go, but I appreciate you calling.
Thanks,
yeah, thank you, man. There was a moment where Freeman was open at the top of the key, and he had a straightaway 3. He was as open as can be, and I forgot who had the ball, so excuse me. But they just didn't give it to him. Now, I think Coach Autry was saying, guys, stop settling for 3s. I don't want to shoot them, so maybe you don't give Freeman that look. But also, yeah, that's the one thing. And isn't it a little bit ironic? They're totally different players. But the thing that stopped Judah potentially from getting a real shot in the NBA draft was that he couldn't shoot 3s. And Donnie Freeman is a stud, man. double-doubles easily. It looks like he's getting more comfortable and better every game. The defense, when he starts to be a real impact player on defense, that's when things really get exciting, but he can't hit his threes, man. We're seeing it again. He can't hit his threes. John in Syracuse, you've been on the line for quite a while. I appreciate you waiting, man. What's on your mind?
Well, I said when Boeheim got forced out, they should have cleaned house. And, of course, they didn't get rid of all the cancer in the program. And Wildhack took the easy way out and gave it to a Autry who's going to always be a mediocre coach. And we're going to have to put up with him probably this year and next year. And if Wildhack has got a half a brain, he's going to go out and get somebody that's big time to save this program because, like I've said for the last 10 years, this program is going down the toilet, and I don't even know if it can be saved. That's all I got.
May I ask you one question, John, also, so the record shows like I didn't cut you off like everybody thinks I do. Where do you stand on the whole, they've got Sadiq White, they've got Kyan Anthony coming in. Where do you stand on that? Like, do you give Autry credit for the recruiting, or are you just done with it, like, cut the cord this year? Like, where do you stand on that? Because bringing in talent is important, and that was people's issue with Boeheim.
Well, that's why I said this year and next year, but okay. I just don't know. Autry's not the answer. You could bring in Duke's class, and I don't think it'd improve much with him.
Okay.
You need a big-time coach. That's all I got, and I don't really care anymore.
No, John, we don't like apathy, John. That's where it gets at. But I appreciate you calling in, voicing your opinion, and that's what everybody can do. 315-437-7644. We got Vito on the line. I'm gonna leave you hanging a little bit, Vito. We're coming up on the top of the hour. We'll have one more segment. Somebody else is on hold. Stay on hold. We're just hanging out. I hope to get you Adrian Autry's full post-game press conference. If not, you heard a little bit of him from TK99. I'm also sure some of you really, I've seen it in the chat, aren't looking forward to hearing it. Nonetheless, we're going to get you as much Coach Autry as we can. We're going to get some more of your opinions on Syracuse's loss to Notre Dame, 69-64. I know I keep saying the stat, but I'm trying to keep saying it until I believe it. Syracuse men's basketball fails to hit a single three-pointer in 40 minutes of 2024 college hoops. Just unbelievable. Keep it locked. I appreciate you listening. Jordan Capozzi here on the Burdick Toyota, Burdick Lexus, Burdick BMW, Burdick Ford post-game show. Hoping to get you Adrian Autry's press conference brought to you by RomanoCars.com. But either way, stick around. We'll be right back with more of your calls and some final thoughts on the game.
The Sports
I want to get you this presser, guys. What's going on? Oh, hold on. I got to refresh. I'm getting back to the YouTube chat. So here's what I'm doing. I'm refreshing like every avenue that might have a presser. Okay, the highlights are coming up. So that's exciting. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to do my best to I'm not going to go crazy long. I'm not going to waste your time. I also have to go home and come back to board up the Crunch game tonight, so I can't stay here until forever, but I'll give it a while and try to make it happen. Yeah. I mean, if people are calling, like, I'll keep rolling. Like, I'm not here to just come in, do 60 minutes on the dot and skip out. Like, that was a frustrating game. I'm sure people want to talk about it. I basically do. How many have they hit this season? I don't know exactly. I mean, the shooting hasn't been great. Yeah, Zach, you're right in that. Like, the one thing is they haven't really done well in the transfer portal. You're right. The problem is if I have a small bedroom at the station, then they can take it out of my paycheck and call it free rent. 11? That's tough. Yeah, Mike, so I was watching Georgetown, West Virginia a little bit last night, and from what I saw, Georgetown looks pretty competent, and then they blew it at the end. But, like, they have a big man who's pretty versatile. They obviously have apps. Like, they've got a lot of length. Like, Georgetown, that's going to be really bad if that game isn't competitive. What you hope there is that there's a different level of intensity for that game. But then the argument is so many of these guys are, hired mercenaries, if you will, 1-year guys. So, how much are they going to care about the Georgetown game? What's the buy-in? I don't know, man. I'm nervous for that game. They did. They hired him mid this season. I think we'll beat Albany. Florida guy, Eugene something. I forgot his last name, but we did. But that was this season. Dom, thank you for hopping in the chat. How can you have fun? That's fine, Minnesota Dan. You have been on point with some things you've said, and I'll give you credit there. Also, for what it's worth, Paulie is my boss. But other than that, Oh no, guys. Oh no. One of our callers is labeled grew up in Utica, and the end of it is looking forward to lacrosse. Here we go. We've got to stop complaining about Autry call coming in. This will be interesting. Man, this is going to be an odd one. I'm getting to the YouTube comments. Stand by. I'm sorry. I'm going back and forth. I'm really sorry, YouTube. I'm not trying to ignore you. Okay, we're back. We're back in the mix. Syracuse couldn't beat Bishop Ludden. My goodness. Podcast. Yeah, here's what I'll say. Get money. Based on our analytics, because I'm mainly a producer. Hold on. We just got hard synced. As a producer, a lot of analytics are what I'm looking at and our blah, blah, blah. And the football stuff is killing it right now. People would rather hear about football recruiting than they would basketball all day right now. Post-game coverage winding down on ESPN Radio Syracuse as the Orange fall to the Fighting Irish 69-64. No Marcus Burton for the Irish, but Braden Shrewsbury, whose name is Braden and not Jaden and not Micah like they thought on the CW, came up big for Notre Dame. Just a tough loss for Syracuse. That was one where, you win that game and then you can be like, okay, they beat a low-level ACC team. Let's go show some improvement against Albany. Let's try to get some wins against Georgetown, Maryland, Bucknell, and then let's see what we have going into ACC play going into New Year's. But nope, not happening. Not happening. Tough loss, and we got some more callers to discuss it, starting with our guy Vito in Liverpool. Vito, how are you? Thank you for calling. You got a little bit of window sound. Not sure what it is. We're gonna see what we can do here. But what's on your mind, Vito?
Is that better?
Oh, that's money, Vito. You're the man. Thank you. What's on your mind, man? Thank you for calling.
All right. Yeah, I take you off the speaker, Bluetooth in the car. Yeah. So a couple things. I'm gonna go gameplay today, and then I want to talk big picture. So we lost 2 to Mints. I said this in the last post game with Brian, I believe it was. There's nobody that gets to the rim like Judah. I understand he's kind of a one-of-a-kind player, and he was awesome at that, but that's completely lost. Starling he didn't even get to the rim like Judah could, so that's gone. The trade-off was they brought in Lampkin at, $700,000? And he's slow, like Pat said. He's not good on defense. Autry knew to address the issue that they don't have a center, and they haven't had one here since probably Raheem Christmas. That being said, it probably wasn't their first choice in the portal for center. So that's the problem, and I don't think he addresses it fully, so that being Lampkin. I thought at 60-60, that miss by Davis, I believe it was, in the paint, was the swan song. If he hit that shot right there, we would have had a good shot of winning the game. I was really disappointed when Jair Davis missed that shot.
How mad can you be at him, though, from that game, Vito? Let's be honest. He had a great game.
Oh, no, I'm not blaming him at all. Don't get me wrong. That probably came off the wrong way. I just thought, damn it, if he hit that shot, it would have been great. Probably would have been in a good position. But, yeah, Carlos, when you go from Judah Mintz to Carlos, that's a huge regression in the guard play, and we really don't have good defense from the guards. It's just defense all over the place is so bad. But I mean, Elon beat them. Elon is 4-3. They lost to Gardner Webb 2 weeks ago. They lost to Maine, and they went into Notre Dame and beat them, and this team couldn't. And I was hoping, everybody that wanted Jim Boeheim out was hoping, there's going to be a better philosophy on defense, not the 100% zone philosophy, which angered me. I wanted someone that would come in and be more open to using man-to-man in the right situations and even go back to zone when needed. But this is the problem with hiring Autry. I don't want to rain on him. I want him to succeed. He probably deserves one more year with Sadiq White and the other guys coming in. But they've regressed. My point is on that is you're limiting to in-family, they call it, hires for coaching. They didn't make it a national search. Anytime you limit yourself in anything in life, it's not a good way to start things. And this is where we're at now. I don't think Autry was the right hire. I don't even think GMAC was. I thought they needed to open it up. Our guy was down the street, Nate Oates, and he escaped and went to Alabama because Boeheim wanted to hang around. That was the guy that was needed. I know that's Monday morning quarterbacking things, but I think we'd all be much happier and in a much better spot if they had grabbed Nate Oates before he escaped to Alabama. That's all I got to say, guys.
Hey, I appreciate it, Vito. The world will never know. And obviously things change, the whole Mike Hopkins thing that we don't need to get into, but who knows how things change over the years. I mean, also, Buddy Boeheim let him do a Sweet 16, so that was pretty cool too. And I know that's not the end goal, and I'm not saying that makes up for what's happening now. I'm not saying, one Sweet 16 is worth, whatever this season is going to be. By no means am I saying that, but, we had some good years. But no, I feel you, Vito. I understand what you mean. I think Vito's call is going to juxtapose very well with our next call because Mike and Camillus on my screen, it says stop complaining about Autry. I don't know if that's me. I don't know if that's the callers, but Mike is the person to tell us on the Burdick Toyota, Burdick BMW, Burdick Lexus, Burdick Ford postgame show. What's up, Mike? Thanks for calling. What's on your mind?
Well, that's a heck of a lead-in. Today stunk. Today stunk. I mean, the last caller did a great job. Like Notre Dame, like Lemoyne could probably beat Notre Dame without Bucks. I mean, oh my God, Notre Dame is so bad. And watching that game was watching like clowns come out of the car and falling left and right. It was so bad. But look, taking a step back here, like Sean from Syracuse. Oh, if Wildak has a brain, he's going to fire Autry. Listen, I'm pissed. You're going to have a longer show today because a lot of us pissed. This is our therapy. So we don't beat our pets and stuff like that, right? But it's like when you look back what Autry did last year, 20 wins for the first time in 5 years. He smoked out some stuff, played some man-to-man. Like, he's got a little bit of credibility here. So I think we got to step off the ledge. And this year is going to suck. Clearly, this year is going to suck. But a couple things you have to I really want to point to. If you're Wild Hack and you're Syracuse and you basically force out an institution as James Arthur Boeheim at 47 years, you're not going to go conduct a national search. You're not going to, because you're basically saying, Jim, everything you built here doesn't mean anything. So that wasn't going to happen. And even if Jim want to go, at least it's partial. It's like your designee is going to be higher than whether it was him or GM. So take a time back. Syracuse would have been absolutely ridiculous to do a national search. It's up to Autry now. I think if Autry doesn't work out, you absolutely go the national search route. And that's it. The second thing that I think is going to be painfully, awesomely clear throughout the season is, Red, you didn't do a good job with the portal. But we got this guy Klein that came in, I think, this summer, the New York Knicks, the SU grad, New York Knicks scout. I think we're going to do a heck of a lot better in terms of roster construction.
Yeah, Alex Klein, real great guy. Great guy,
Alex
smart
Klein.
young mind, yeah.
So we whiffed. I mean, Davis is maybe a thing. Like, I don't know what Carlos is. Eddie Lampkin is probably, like, the coolest guy in the locker room. I want to party with that guy. But this team does not make sense together. But Red's going to get a lot of help in the form of Alex Klein and that. So I think we got to give him, this stinks. We should be frustrated. I want Red to be a little bit more frustrated, take some more accountability instead of blaming the players, because ultimately it is on him. But listen, it's clearly a terrible year. the one thing, if anything else, that Red really needs to do this month, if you lose to George Clown lost to Notre Dame by 21 points at home. We cannot lose to them. It's going to get really, really bad if that happens. And that's going to be good.
Yeah,
Appreciate
I was just talking about that. Yeah, thank you. By the way, at the beginning, did you say this is your therapy? We don't beat our pets. Is that what you said?
Don't kick our pets.
Okay, don't kick our pets. I was going to say,
we don't want to kick our pets.
I host our public affairs show. So at 6 a.m. tomorrow, I'm actually chatting with someone from the CNY SPCA. So you unintentionally gave me a plug. So I appreciate you, Mike.
That's a heck of an integration. Good luck with that, Jordan.
Thank you. Yeah, you're welcome to call in and complain to me as long as your pets are safe. Like that's the most important thing to me. As long as you and your pets are safe. Don't kick your pets. Shameless plug, my chat with Gene Madigan from the CNY SPCA will be on all of our Galaxy stations, TK, K-Rock, Sunny, ESPN Syracuse, at 6 a.m. If you're up, take a listen. Now, excuse me, one more caller. Again, we're going to push and try to get you Red Autry's post-game press conference. Is it Hags? I apologize. You're going to have to tell me how to pronounce it, but it says here you grew up in Utica, and you're missing the Boeheim days, sir.
So you can just take Hague and add ES to it and make it Hags. I guess that makes it easiest.
Yes, sir.
So I have a shameless plug. I'm actually going to start a podcast soon called For the Love of Animals. I think that's a nice transition there.
There you go. That's perfect, Hags.
Yep. And so basically, I was born in 1970, so been watching Boeheim. I watched Boeheim for many years. And I think Boeheim, even when he didn't have the really good years, he always got the best out of his players. And I think that's one thing with Autry. I don't know if he's not getting the best out of his players, although he hasn't been a coach super long. But he's been an assistant coach for a long time. So that's where I kind of think with one of the callers where he says, don't do it yet. Don't do the program to get somebody in. I'm like, well, you can say he's a second-year coach, but he's been in the program for many years. So I don't give him that long leash like some of his other people do. I think he did do okay with recruiting, but not great. He definitely could have done better. And then the team just looks disorientated out there. Then the last point is actually we have lacrosse to look forward to coming up. I guess in a month, almost all of the teams returning from last year in the quarterfinal. And they got Spallina, who's one of the greatest lacrosse players in Tacman they've had in a while, too, even though they've had a lot of good players. So I know this is basketball, but I just wanted to put that in there. And, yeah, that's basically it.
Hey, well, I appreciate something positive, Hags, and I hope that podcast is phenomenal. But hey, if you're trying to give me something positive with the lacrosse, we'll take it after that game. And I appreciate you calling. Definitely. And, it is a fair point. You can say first-year head coach, blah, blah, blah. But, Coach Autry spent a lot of time watching Jim Boeheim do his thing. But also he has to change up the thing that's been done between not doing all the zone that doesn't work as well in today's style of basketball. You can't necessarily be as tough on guys because some of them will just enter the portal. Like the talent acquisition is so much more important now because you don't have the chance to develop all these guys every time. So, there's an interesting push and pull there. But my main thing is 20 wins last season. I thought that was a good debut. It obviously wasn't what you wanted, but they showed by the end of the season that, man, if they had figured it out a little earlier, there could have been something. This year, I don't know what to say. I don't know what you can really do to improve, especially when J.J. Starling's going to be out until late January. You never know with wrists and hands. Let's just be real with that. Everybody's like, do we have an update? No. You never know with wrists and hands. Mid to late January. But, we saw a lot of funky things. We saw some odd lineups. We saw no threes. We saw an interior presence in Jair Davis and Donnie Freeman. So I guess before we go, and I'm just stalling to try to get you Red Autry's post-game press conference. If you want to call, it's your last chance. 315-437-7644. If not, we'll be talking all about this game and more coming up Monday on Orange Nation, on the 315 with Brian Higgins. Cody Mack on the sports show might have something to say, but I guess here are some of my takeaways. Syracuse has started slow sometimes this season and made a comeback, and it's worked out sometimes. In the first half specifically, there were a few times that just it felt like they need time to get engaged. After the first media timeout, they gave up a free corner three. There were some of the worst offensive possessions that, I've ever seen at one point right after the under 8 timeout, where Carlos and Freeman were just fumbling the ball back and forth. It was like that scene from Semi-Pro where it's like, I'm open. Nah, you. I'm open. Nah, you got it. Except they weren't passing it. They were just losing the ball. Coming out of those timeouts, just something was going wrong. And the slow starts at the beginning of the game are one thing, but it also shouldn't take you 30 seconds to get your head in the game and get back into action, because in a 5-point game, those possessions make all the difference. Coach Autry's clearly trying things. That's another takeaway I have here. Between just taking 8 threes all game and not making one, and between seeing some of those funky lineups I mentioned earlier with Chance Westry, Kyle Cuff, Jaquan Carlos, Elijah Moore, there were a couple times 3 of those 4 guys were on the court at once. Very interesting. So he's trying things. Pitar Mastorovich came in a little later than I thought he would as well, but, he had a weird foul. He's fouling a lot. So, it's going to be the chemistry lab that Jim Boeheim said it wasn't a few years ago. That's what we're probably going to see with J.J. Starling now. Get your beakers, get your test tubes, get ready for the clouds of smoke, because chemistry lab might be incoming without J.J. And the call earlier kind of said it too. What's it going to take for all these guys to get going at the same time? On a team where you have Chris Bell out there on the floor, how can you not make a 3? Elijah Moore couldn't continue the momentum from his past 2 games. He wasn't able to get it going. He wasn't given as much opportunity, but he also wasn't able to get it going. So I don't even know if the defense was that much better, if I'm being really honest with you. I think there were some positives, but Pat kind of said it. I mean, one, this Notre Dame team is really trying to find their way without Marcus Burton. And 2, even for a team that's struggling, they were playing pretty bad at some points, especially in the first half. They missed some open shots. They made some silly turnovers. And Syracuse was also limiting possessions by draining the shot clock down. They got to the line a bunch. I think they were 8 for 14, something like that, I believe, in the first half from the foul line. So, their strategy was slow down the game and don't let our defense lose it for us. And the defense didn't lose them for them. It was they couldn't make a 3, and, they couldn't really get much production aside from down low. Alex Martin mentions it too. Naheem McLeod doesn't play. Eddie Lampkin started off hot. It was looking good, and then it all kind of fell apart. But Donnie Freeman and Jair Davis with some good games, and we'll see what happens moving forward. We got the Albany game coming up on Tuesday, so that's something. If they don't win that, I can't imagine the calls. I'm glad I'm not hosting that one. One more time, in case you tuned in late, in case you missed it, this is brought to you by RomanoCars.com. This is what Coach Adrian Autry said immediately after leaving the court with tonight's 69-64 loss to Notre Dame.
I just thought we self-inflicted ourselves. We get it to a tie game. We missed our assignments. We started doing things that we shouldn't do on defense, and I thought that was the game, man. Offensively, we drove the ball. We started settling a little bit at the end. We got to get the ball in there and drive, but it was on us. Free throws in the first half. And then late in the second half, we just didn't do the things that we needed to do to win.
Did not do the things they needed to do to win, and that's why the Orange got the loss. Last thing I'll do before I let you go is I will give you some of Adrian Autry's post-game quotes, and then that full presser you're going to want to, grab on YouTube, something of the sort. Adrian Autry on the loss. Shout out WAER Sports. Somebody down there at the game tweeting out, too many blown opportunities. Turn the ball over 13 times. We can't do that. So it seems Red is blaming this loss on the turnovers. What's scary about that is in the first half, they only had 5 turnovers. They were winning at the half. They had 3 times as many points off those turnovers as Notre Dame, and they had 3 less turnovers. So that's probably what Red was talking about when he says that they weren't doing what they needed to do at the end of the game. You have to adjust and go game by game now on the mistakes being made leading to lineup shuffling. Yeah, I mean, I mentioned all the funky lineups that you're getting, and I mentioned this is going to be a chemistry lab before seeing that quote, and Red Autry basically confirming that post-game. You're going to see a lot of weird things that you weren't expecting. I thought Donnie and Jair had it going, so we stayed with that on Elijah Moore having a quiet afternoon. That'll explain it, why Chapa didn't get in and get more minutes. Now, what I will say is, Donnie and Jair. So, I mean, they don't play the same position, so you did have room to play a little more, sorry. So maybe you could have had the inside-outside game working. I don't know if those two things connect. Obviously, you stay with the guys down low who are finding success, but I still think you can do some things to turn those 2s into 3s and try to counter Braden Shrewsbury. I thought Jaquan Carlos was fine. I thought he got us into the game with his playmaking, best game since the season started. Yeah, I think he was better than fine. I think he was good. I believe 8.6 assists, his final stat line. He had couple turnovers off the beginning of the game, I believe. I could be wrong. I don't think it was like a flawless game, but I think Jaquan Carlos played well. No timetable on J.J. Starling's return. Yeah, hand, wrist. That's what happens. I think he's progressing the way we want on Chance Westry. We saw a little more of him in terms of minutes, but we didn't really see production from Chance Westry. It did look like he played some good defense at moments, though, so that's something we can look forward to. 69-64, the final. Syracuse falls to Notre Dame. I'm going to let you all go. I'm going to let you all enjoy the rest of your day. You got some quotes from Adrian Autry. You got some sound, and you got until Tuesday to figure it out and see what's going on. I appreciate you tuning in and hanging out on the Burdick Toyota, Burdick Lexus, Burdick BMW, Burdick Ford postgame show. Adrian Autry's postgame comments presented by RomanoCars.com. I'm Jordan Capozzi, and I appreciate you hanging out with me. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Women's basketball right here tomorrow. They'll get a crack at Notre Dame as well. Kayla Alexander's jersey retirement. Tim Leonard will be on the call here on ESPN Radio Syracuse. So enjoy that. Hope they can go out there and get a win and make everyone forget about this one. Crunch hockey coming up tonight as well. So you can tune in. Countdown to crunch time at 6:45. Enjoy your weekend, everybody. Thanks for listening. Syracuse falls 69-64 to Notre Dame. And they don't make but one single three-pointer. And I'll leave you with that because I don't know if I'll believe it's true by Monday.